you did end up working with the government for a while then.
Briefly, for a short period of time. I ran into some scientists face-to-face, and we were discussing, and they were asking me how I could base my subatomic theory on why the solar system. I believe in the electric universe. I don't believe in the standard gravitational put forth by Einstein and them searching for the unification model, because Einstein's theory is basically incorrect. And everything is, we live in an electric universe. Everything is the same in the subatomic set of chemistry rules as well as in the astroatomic. Now, I've referred to it as astroatomic because that's how I believe it to be. So that which exists in the finite, in the tabletop, also exists in space. It's the same set of rules, unification period. One rule.
I see. And so how did your relationship with the government end?
The scientists got really upset with me, and they started calling me names to my face, and I run into this still to this day. When people find that their beliefs are laid out the way they are, and you hit cognizant dissonance, all of a sudden they get very mad at you, and they get very, I know what I know, and you can't tell me different. So they start screaming at me, and I finally said I'd had enough of this. But unfortunately, I was being treated at that time as pretty much a prisoner, and I was told that I couldn't leave the country. I had to remain in federal government employee, and period, et cetera, et cetera. And this, we're broaching on some material I don't really like to talk about. But
that's right.
Basically, we were rather not getting along very well. They had given me a house and a car and all of this other stuff, but basically what it was is I was going to end up living, on the base at Langley for the rest of my life, as far as I could see. So I was very uncomfortable with this, and so they brought me back to Montana after I begged to be released, and supposedly, now I don't really remember a good portion of parts of it because my memory was supposedly erased, and because that was the only way I was going to be allowed to leave. So they brought me back to Montana in handcuffs and dropped me off and said, you don't exist anymore, and you better go back and re-sign up for the rest of the world, which is what I ended up having to do. And I got back to my apartment, and my roommates had wondered where I'd been, and they had re-rented out my apartment to somebody else because I'd been gone for so long, months and months and months. And so, anyway.
All right. So do you find that you find a lot of scientific... Now, I realize that you have an ample following of people, like myself, online, but do you find that other scientists are starting to agree with you?
A lot of people a lot of science is just starting to catch up with the electric universe theory. Now, we don't spiral around our solar system in the same place, like on a dinner plate and with a gravity well like Einstein proposed. What we do is we follow in a static spiral behind our star, which moves in virgin space constantly, and we're currently heading toward the middle of the galactic plane. People out there may have noticed that our stars have changed really drastically in the last 9 or 10 years to constellations aren't where they're supposed to be, the Milky Way has moved, etc. Because we're traveling to the northern ecliptic plane of our galaxy, which is also defined in the Mayan calendar by the 13th Baktum. And so what we are is that we're a pair of tandem stars that are spiraling. Now, 83% of all solar systems have two or more, a binary or a trinary or a quaternary group of stars. And in some cases, some stars can actually be, an older star can be embedded in the side of a new star even. So there's a lot going on that standard teachings and standard education do not actually understand. We travel in a spiral. It's like when you pull one sock out of the dryer, you get three. It has to do with the static cling, the Nibiru System, and 8 planets, and our system and our 9 planets. We're kind of a compound in space. We're a chemistry equation.